Hello everyone, it is Thursday the 10th of August. I am live. It is time to interact over what's going on around Liverpool news. So this morning I came in to do our pre-season wrap-up show for Redmen Plus. I asked Steve and one of the lads in the office to graciously put together a bunch of things for the agenda for this because I wouldn't have had time. And then when I got off the show, what I had was about 500 missed messages on WhatsApp. Apparently, the title of this news show changed 3 different times in the 90-minute spell of me recording that show. So as we've seen so far, the headline news is that apparently Liverpool are going to outbid Chelsea for Moises Caicedo, and that comes from Matt Law. We're going to come on to that in due course, but there's been tons of stuff happening just like between yesterday evening, certainly after yesterday's lunchtime show, through to now. I'm going to go through the timelines of those. It's going to be, there's Thiago news, there's Lavia news, and there's Moises Caicedo news. And there's a bit of other Chelsea news as well, which I think ties into that. It's members only chat today. But so yeah, if you want to interact with us, you can do. If you're a Legend tier subscriber on Redmen Plus, just use the live show chat channel in our Discord and your comments will feed into me. And if you're a YouTube member or you want to super chat, then the comments will come through to me as well. For example, one here from Anxiety just kind of sums up how everyone's feeling. Oh no, that's skipped to my loop. Thank you so much for that regardless. This one, which I've just missed because the comments are flying in. Anxiety. Honestly, the whole saga is just funny and enjoyable at this point. Can't disagree. I mean, I can. It's more stress than anything else, but yeah, here we go. Right, sound. Get your comments into anything we are discussing in the live show chat, as mentioned. I'll get them on screen if they're good ones. I'm going to start then with Thiago news. Get French football news are reporting from L'Equipe. Breaking, Al Ahly have submitted a €12 million bid to Liverpool for Thiago Alcantara. According to L'Equipe, more follows. So this was this morning at 11:15. Get French football news reporting that there was an offer on the table from Al Ahly for Thiago, which is interesting because I genuinely feel like if this offer had come in earlier at the start of the window, I think Liverpool would have been more interested in it. But anyway, I'll read a few more bits on this. L'Equipe are reporting that Al Ahly have submitted a €12 million offer. Will the Spain international become the latest trade made for the Gulf state? Former midfield partners Henderson and Fabinho both completed moves to Saudi Arabia, as has Firmino. Thiago is the latest to attract Saudi interest, and according to L'Equipe, Al Ahly have submitted the offer for the former Barcelona and Bayern Munich midfielder. The bid was submitted just hours ago. According to L'Equipe journalist Loic Tanzi, the offensive may signal the end of Al Ahly's pursuit of Marco Verratti. As reported by RMC Sport yesterday, the Italian international has been informed by the club that he surpassed requirements and he had been the subject of offers from the Gulf state. However, in the wake of meeting with Luis Campos and Luis Enrique, during which he was told to find a new club, European sides are starting to once again show interest in Verratti. According to L'Equipe's report, Fabrizio Romano has denied the existence of talks between Thiago and Al Ahly. According to the Italian journalist, he's got more. I'm going to get his tweet up in a second that follows on from this. We've had a new member who is Cyber Rust. I'm going to get up. Is it Cyber? Is it meant to be Cyber Wurst, like Cyber Sausage, in a German sense? Or is it Cyber Rust, but the silent W? Cyber, let me know, please. Anyway, new YouTube member, Cyber Rust. There we go. Welcome to Esham as well. He's become a member, but asked graciously not to have his name put on the board. So thank you so much for joining me anyway, mate. I'm nailing it. Oh, Darren Healy has joined as well. Wow, cool. Darren, thank you, mate. Darren Healy. Lovely stuff. Right, cool. And we've got some member chats, which I'll get through in a moment. Microphones need to be talked into to work. So anyway, Fabrizio Romano tweeted I've been about half an hour later. I could have done better math on that. 27 minutes later. Yeah. Thiago Alcantara currently not in talks with Al Ahly, focused on Liverpool, as he already turned down several approaches from Saudi this summer. And this is, this is interesting because, again, when we were going into this summer, we were talking about all the riches of Saudi Arabia. And we do the Bias Transfer Show on Redmen Plus every Monday after the main Redmen Originals podcast. And we've been speculating at the start of the window, which Liverpool players do you think are going to draw interest from the Saudi Pro League? Thiago was right at the top of that list, and we were a bit like, well, why haven't there been more offers? But Fabrizio Romano seemingly confirming there that actually have been. He's been turning down offers all summer long. He does feel like the exact type of profile footballer for that league at this point. You know, he's got a year left on his contract. He's in the twilight stages now of his career. He's a big name. He's a brilliant footballer. And I'd have weirdly, as much as I think he's the best footballer out of Fabinho, Henderson and himself, I'd have probably let him go before those two just because of the other bits and pieces and the fact that they can both play six, to be honest, which we're now seeing. We're now living in that world where we don't own a six. But yeah, Thiago apparently focused. Now that we've lost them, I want to know your opinions on this. Would you be, look, he doesn't want to move by the sounds of it, but let's say he has his head turned and Liverpool get a bid in, and let's say it's about the same as Jordan Henderson, so it's about 12 to 15 million pounds. Would you be fighting to keep Thiago at Liverpool this summer because of what we've lost already? Or would you be saying, well, no, it's good money, he's on the way down. What would you be doing if you were in Liverpool's situation? I think some of the answers might be linked to Liverpool buying other footballers because he's another lad who's not an ideal number six. It's not his best position, but he can play in a double pivot. And he's at the moment, he's our most experienced defensive midfielder at the football club. He's played more games in his career at DM than any other player on Liverpool's books currently. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on that one, please. Right. Member chat here from Cameron Tilley. I'll see if I can get it up on the screen here. Yeah, Cameron Tilley, member for 28 months, says, don't understand this club anymore. No, nor I. I said I've been absolutely banging my head off a wall for the last few weeks now, and it's interesting though. See this when see how Andy Atkinson's kind of been talking about stuff, and how Paul Tompkins talking about stuff who I consider to be absolute best in class in the Liverpool space. That there's so many things don't add up about how Liverpool are going about the transfer business. Like, it's mad that you think you could put a £45 million bid in for Lavia when you know 50 will get him, but not go to that 50. What is it about that 5 million that makes such a significant difference when they've clearly got that much money from the sales of the two players that have gone before? It speaks to the stuff that we just don't know, which is the wildest thing. And I'm so used to having my head around what Liverpool do and how they conduct themselves in transfer business and on the pitch and off the pitch. It's been the most unusual summer that I can remember in a very long time. And actually, I'll be honest, when you park the misery of it and the general ill feeling on social media, I've quite enjoyed the general not knowing of it, like watching Liverpool and learning new things about them. I've not enjoyed us seeming to be quite inept in the transfer market since the initial two signings. Absolutely does my head in, but it's been interesting. It'll be shit if they don't get things sorted, but we'll see what happens on that, of course. And obviously, some of the news stories we're going to come on to in a second might have a little bearing on that. Just double check. I've not missed any more member chats. Cool. Right, sound. So let's move on. Let me just double check these super chats. Here we go. So John Delaney, just on the Thiago story, asks, Paul, do you think Thiago's time is up at LFC? I think if he stays fit, he can play a big part of the season. He offers something different. My general thing on Thiago is I don't think he suits. I'm not sure what position he suits in Liverpool's new system. We saw him play a little bit of 6 and a little bit of right side at 8 before he got injured and went for surgery at the end of the season, but not enough for it to be to say, oh, well, he's definitely the right man for that. In seeing Alexis McAllister looks very Thiago-like. I don't think he's as silky because I just think Thiago is just a supreme being. I've honestly never seen a silkier footballer at Liverpool. So smooth. But his level of experience, he's just a brilliant footballer. I think he could probably do a job in all of our midfield positions. Sadly, I'm not sure he's got the legs to maybe do the inverted outverted. You can't cover for Trent, I don't think. Which I think you could get a DM in who could do that if you need to. Like I think a Lavia could, or an Andre potentially could. Caicedo could definitely do that. So I don't think his time's up. And I think so. I think because of the fact that we've left Fabinho and Henderson, I'd have been up for keeping him because I just think he's so good at footy, and I think he sets standards, and I think he needs standard setters because all of our experience has now been sold from the football club. When he goes, it has completely. To lose Milner, Fabinho, Henderson, and Thiago. We've just done this pre-season wrap-up show, and we did a stock exchange bit. A bit of that's going to be on YouTube over the weekend, I think. But the amount of players we had to rate there was just none. We just don't own enough. We just don't own enough out-and-out midfielders at this point. So yeah, I don't think his time's up, and I think he honestly will probably want to go back to Barca on a free next summer. So he'll just hang on, which makes sense. And also, he's won a couple of domestic cups. Maybe just, feels like he could maybe help Liverpool and add one more or another couple of bits of silverware maybe this season, and then he can move on and say it was a good decision. I don't know, but yeah, in answer to your question, John, I don't think it's over. But yeah, right. There's more super chats. I'll come to them. I'm not missing them deliberately. Well, I am missing them deliberately, but I'm going to come back to them deliberately as well while I get through a couple of the other comments and what have you. So Fabrizio Romano said that about Thiago. Next thing up, David Ornstein. So this was what was going to be the headline news today. So this came last night, and I was honestly terrified at having to host this show with this as the main title. Southampton have tonight received an offer from Chelsea for Romeo Lavia. Chelsea proposal 48 million, including add-ons. Closest anyone has come to Saints' 50 million valuation to date. The 19-year-old subject to multiple rejected bids from Liverpool. Dialogue continues. Yeah, that I was not prepared to engage with that. I was not happy with that being our lead story. I was crossing fingers and toes that something would drop in and we wouldn't have to be the thing on it. I do think it's really interesting though, because they've clearly harboured interest, and this goes back to this whole thing of like Liverpool have either got some sort of bigger plan at play, or they're fucking inept. And I don't really think there's much one way or the other. If he is the top target and he goes to Chelsea and then we're left with basically no one, then that's ineptitude. Because if you've sat on your hands and done these incremental increase in bid and then fluffed it right at the end, then it's mad. The only thing on this is that, and according to TalkSport, by the way, they say Southampton are expected to reject Chelsea's bid for Lavia. The offer is believed to be in the region of 48 million, which is nearer to Saints' 50 million valuation than Liverpool's most recent proposal. Despite being closer to the valuation, the Championship club are still set to reject it when negotiations ongoing between the two teams. Now, I suppose, look, again, if we wanted to look at this, like, why aren't Chelsea just bidding 50? I'm genuinely asking the question. Liverpool know you can get him for 50, and Chelsea know you can get him for 50. Chelsea have come in that incremental gap between Liverpool's last bid and the bid that will actually get accepted. Why have Chelsea done that? Do we think they actually want Lavia? Because if they really wanted him, I think they'd have just gone in at 50 and they'd be in negotiations with the player now. So are they doing that as part of a wider game? And leading on to our Caicedo story in a minute, is that Liverpool's response to that? And if it is, it all feels a bit fucking pathetic, like WWE style, like pass the mic banter. You're not really arguing because if you've got to stop and hand the mic to someone in order for them to give you their retort, that's where you break the illusion a little bit. The suspension of disbelief goes. This whole thing is weird. It's really weird. And when you add into the story, that Chelsea are closing in on Tyler Adams by The Athletic. Apparently, they're set to activate his release clause. So they say, this is Phil Hay, Dan Sheldon and Simon Johnson at The Athletic an hour ago. Chelsea are closing in on a deal to sign Leeds United midfielder Tyler Adams. The Athletic reported on Monday that Chelsea was set to step up their interest in Adams this week, having previously been considering a move for the USMNT international, whose contract at Leeds contains a release clause in the region of £20 million. Chelsea are now set to activate that release clause and schedule a medical, with personal terms between the club and the 24-year-old not an issue. Chelsea's primary midfield target has been Brighton and Hove Albion's Moises Caicedo. The 21-year-old did not feature in Brighton's final pre-season game on Sunday, and Chelsea have seen 4 offers rejected for him so far this summer. They're expected to bid again for Caicedo and also tabled a £48 million bid for Romeo Lavia this week. Adams previously drew interest from Villa, joined Leeds from Leipzig last summer and played 24 times as they suffered relegation. Mad. This, I mean, again, so what do we think? Do we think Chelsea are going to go... I don't see how Chelsea are going to go Caicedo, Adams and Lavia. So some of this, there's some gamesmanship, and again, this is the problem with the 24-hour news cycle and the inside outside of a cat's ass being public sort of knowledge on this stuff, or at least, you know, the headline stuff on it. There's so much at play here that I genuinely don't understand. I couldn't say with any certainty exactly what's going on here. It feels like a little bit of games being played. Are Chelsea fine? Because again, if Chelsea really wanted Lavia as well, they were desperate for him, and they had the money for him, they'd have just gone for him. It feels to me like they're looking for 2, like Liverpool are. Tyler Adams is an easy one because they can just box 20 million for him, and it looks like they're finally pushing the boat on that. And his Lavia is moving publicly towards Lavia, an attempt to make Brighton feel like they need to get their act together in terms of accepting a bid. And the problem is Liverpool, I don't think, end up coming out great on this. We had a couple of member chats. I'm going to move on to the Caicedo stuff next, but just going to catch up on a couple of the comments. Just going back to the Thiago stuff, Anxiety, who's been a member for 2 months, says Thiago will raise and improve our young midfielders and Trent, just like that TMNT meme. Go ahead. David John, who's been a member for 17 months, says seems to be incredibly naive from us over Lavia. Southampton were never going to drop their price for us because of our previous with them. So either Lavia is a smokescreen or we are really inept. Yeah, and again, look, I mean, just playing devil's advocate on it, is that I don't think there's anything wrong with lowballing teams. I don't, because and it's funny because I'll give you a great example on this. When I bought my house, I bought it at valuation, and then I think a year or so later Chris bought his first house and got it for like £25,000 or something cheaper than the asking price, because he just went, fuck it, I'll just go in with a low offer and see what happens. Now actually the funny thing is now you can't do that in the housing market anymore because there's been such a boom in demand, and actually houses are now going for overvaluation, or have been post-COVID, because there's been such a rush on them and what have you. But the point is that if you put in a low ball offer, the worst that normally can say is no. And if they say yes, then you if you're a director of football, you've just smashed your job expectations there. You're doing a brilliant job. And Michael Edwards was very good at doing that and getting great value in and great value in moving people on. So I'm not opposed to Liverpool trying to play hardball in the transfer market, but this whole thing is mad. It's mad because we're not talking 25 million quid here or saving 10 million or whatever. We're at the point where we're saving a handful of million. And how important is that £5 million? I honestly, and I suppose there is an expectation, like Southampton are a relegated team, and they're clearly starting to do business now because you're seeing James Ward-Prowse looks like he's going to move to West Ham, and he was the other one they've been digging in on. But yeah, I mean, and I think this, by the way, is why we are about to see an explosion in movement, because ultimately there's 2 hard deadlines coming. There's the kickoff of the season, and then there's the closing of the transfer window. And you can play games to a point, and there's a degree of brinksmanship that goes with that, where again you can get good value. You can steal a march on other people. You can put more money in your transfer kitty to go and spend on other things. You could technically, you can just be cool. But Liverpool shot themselves in the foot by selling Fabinho and Henderson and losing the bargaining position, not just because they now desperately need DMs, but also because everyone knows they've got 50-odd extra £1 million. People don't know the full scale of Liverpool's budget, although we'd all suspect it's basically frig all. But what you do know is they've got that. They should theoretically have that much money because that's what they've just recouped in sales. So the whole thing's mad. The whole thing's really, really mad. Right, let me do the Caicedo news then, and then I'm going to catch up on all the super chats. If you want to get any comments in, I'll do it. I'll do a ton of comments once I've got through all the news. So, yes, 11:15 this morning, when I was deep into our pre-season wrap-up show, Matt Law of the Daily Telegraph tweeted, understand Liverpool have outbid Chelsea for Moises Caicedo, which would also help explain Chelsea's bid for Lavia. Suggestion, however, remains that Caicedo would prefer Chelsea move. More to follow. 1.1 million views in the last hour and whatever minutes on that one. Big news indeed. Didn't expect to be sat here, to be honest. Jamie Carragher spoke about it on the overlap this week, that it was a bit mad that, like, when you look at who's available, Caicedo's there. He's the best one that's clearly on the market. If you really want to go and show that you mean business, you should be going to do that. Is this Liverpool doing that? Let's get to some of the follow-up tweets. Melissa Reddy initially tweeted, Liverpool have made contact with Brighton over Moises Caicedo, but have not made a formal offer. And then she went on to say, both Liverpool and Brighton are confirming there has been no formal bid yet for Moises Caicedo. However, contact between the clubs illustrate a willingness to discuss a fee and agree a deal if it is there to be done. Players' preference of destination is important. So yeah, I mean, this is the thing. This is why we saw Liverpool effectively pull out of the Bellingham one, is that they got no guarantees from him that he was really interested enough in the Liverpool project. That's going to be a sticking point. A lot of the talk still is that Caicedo's preferred choice is Chelsea, but it looks like his preferred choice is to not play for Brighton. So there's something where you might be able to come in and gazump someone. And look, I'll be honest, not just would I prefer Liverpool to be in the market for Caicedo, not because I think he's worth 100 million, but ultimately, if we're in a world where an unproven 19-year-old is worth 50, then a couple more years experience, both in the Premier League and internationally, does put Caicedo at a higher value. So if you're going to pay over the odds, you might as well pay over the odds for someone who fits the model. Talk about this a lot. Liverpool have a profile of type of footballer, and there's a level of experience that they require to be able to feel a degree of comfort in who they're buying. Caicedo at least ticks that box. But I mean, look, I'm going to sit here. I can't see a world where Liverpool spend £100 million on the defensive midfielder. The problem is they should and they need to, because life's a shithouse. I agree with the notion of maintaining your place in the pecking order and maintaining your strength in the transfer market in negotiations by don't get bullied by anyone and get great value out of other teams. So bully other teams, but don't get bullied in return. Sit at the top of the food chain in the transfer market. That's admirable, and trying to keep the prices as low as possible. I mean, getting McAllister for 35 million, I know it's a release clause, but that's a brilliant, canny piece of business. But there comes times when that's what the market valuation is. The value for defensive midfielders has skyrocketed, and it's Chelsea's fault. Ultimately, Chelsea are actually reaping what they've sown, because when you go and spend 120 million on Enzo Fernandez, which is insane money, well, now we have to live in that world, because, and this is how Liverpool do business, or certainly did under Michael Edwards. When people come to him and go, we want to buy this player off you, he'd go, okay, cool. Well, our player is this age, he's got this amount of games under his belt, and he's got this amount of internationals. Actually, if you'll note, someone moved recently in the transfer window who ticks most of those boxes, and he moved for £15 million. So our price is £15 million. I think you'll agree that's fair. And that's how smart DOFs do their job. But also, smart DOFs identify sometimes when things need to just happen, and we can cry arse about the value of it, and it might have a knock-on impact. It might mean that Liverpool don't have money to spend in January and maybe have less to spend next summer. But Andre now doesn't look like that. That's gone quiet because Fluminense have gotten through the semi-final of the Copa Libertadores. So that was going to be a trigger point. That might have to be kicked down the line until January. But I'm fine with that, provided you get Caicedo now. If you're saying Lavia now, he's got to hold down the fort until January, till Andre comes, that's negligent. if you're saying it's Caicedo and then he's going to get another support guy, another new body is agreed to join in January, I still think we need 2 now, but I could make me peace with that. Ideally, Liverpool need to go and get 2. One who's a nailed on experienced 6, and one who can do it and maybe do another position as well. But wild, absolutely wild. So yeah, that is the big one at the moment. I'm going to get through some of you guys' comments, so do keep them coming in. We had a bunch of super chats here. Adam Archer says, I'm guessing quite optimistically, judging by his laughing emojis, Caicedo coming in plus Lavia as his understudy. I think hell will freeze over, to be honest, but they should do. It's just whether you need, if you're getting, what's Caicedo, 21? I don't think you need a young understudy if that's the case. I think you need to get, 21 years old. When's he 22? 22 in November, yeah, fine. I don't think you need both of them. I think if you're getting Lavia, it needs to be someone who's a little bit more experienced and maybe versatile. I've heard it mentioned, like, I know he's injured, but João Palhinha might be able to do a bit of centre half as well. You know, someone like that, I think would make sense to me anyway. But yeah, I mean, I think we're all in fantasy world. If we think Liverpool are going to splash £150 million on defensive midfielders. I could be wrong. Craig Tebbs says, heads falling off everywhere. It's like the hokey cokey with people's views on FSG. Good to see an old man back this morning. Your thoughts on Caicedo? Yeah, my dad was back on the pre-season roundup show, by the way. So if you've missed John Machin in your life and his calming voice and influence, then do check out the pre-season wrap-up show. And there'll be a free section on the stock exchange valuations of Liverpool's forwards going out on YouTube soon as well. Yeah, I think they're all over the place. Because I think Caicedo's good. And look, my take in January was there was talk of him being like a 70, 80 million pound transfer, and I felt that was well overpriced for what he was. However, I mean, this is where we're at now. All of a sudden, 80 million for Caicedo seems like a bargain, and the fact is they're now rejecting those bids for him. They've rejected 80 million from Chelsea already. So he's clearly more than that. And I think 100 million is badly overpriced. But then again, 105 for Declan Rice is overpriced, and he's probably the best. He was the best available. So yeah, I think he's a good player. I really do. I think he's what we should be looking for. It's just, I still feel like, again, I'd have just kept Fabinho. Selling Fabinho was the maddest one for me. Not because 40 million wasn't a good price for a 29 going 30-year-old who clearly was on the wane, but more just imagine if we were sat here now. Now, listen, if we were sat here now, having kept Fabinho, sold Henderson and not bought anyone else, all the same heads would be rolling, because it's like this every transfer window. We'd still be feeling like Liverpool hadn't done enough business. So people would be just as upset. We'll never be able to prove or disprove that. So I'm aware of that. But having written books and done countless YouTubes and comments and Twitter for the last 10 years of Liverpool's summer transfer windows, I see it every year. People get dead upset and dead wound up, excessively so, over Liverpool's ins and outs. But I do think that, I think Caicedo right now feels like the best that's out there. I would feel much more assured if Liverpool were buying him, because at least I know he's played quite a bit of Premier League football, certainly more than someone like Lavia, and you're more likely to drop Caicedo in first game of the season. He's playing for a really good Brighton side. He play a really good style of football already, so he's probably not miles off in terms of what he'd be expected to do. His understanding would be all right. And yeah, it just feels like a better footballer all in general. But I've not that I probably have defended Liverpool's owners, but only from a perspective of I think there's a lot of opinion colouring things when things being said as absolute certainty when they're not. They are opinions. I've not had a problem with the overall transfer approach, but I just can't. There's nothing in their history that says they're going to come and spend £100 million in this, which is the real shame about Caicedo, because, as I say, life's a shit house. Sometimes you just got to go and spend what needs to be spent to give the parts you need for your team. What I have said, and I said this on the overlap, is Liverpool, and what I said about this summer, by the way, when it comes to Liverpool's ownership group and all the people in charge of signings for Liverpool, they've got to get. This is the most important transfer window Liverpool have had in a decade, because they've got to get back into the Champions League. It's going to be the most competitive top six that's ever been in the Premier League before. It might be more than six. There might be 7 or 8 teams who could realistically be competitive for the top 4 now. And we've fallen out at probably the worst time. It's not if you get back in, but if you misstep and you fuck it, then you're in big trouble. Wow, Caicedo's only played 45 Premier League games. He's not got a lot of experience. Yeah, oh God, yeah. I mean, he's not got enough experience really to be playing DM for Liverpool either. But he is the best of what's left, I guess. Yeah. Right. Okay. Matty Gorman. Hiya, Matty. Hi, Paul. Do you think Gary Neville made a strong point when he said the market is outpacing FSG's will/capabilities in the transfer market? I do. Yeah, I agree with that. It certainly looks that way, and that's why I was prepared to kind of like see what happened this summer. To be honest, because my point was my feeling on the whole thing, and just to reiterate it, is I understand what Liverpool's model's been, and it's been a success, and it's seen Liverpool win silverware, challenge for silverware, and the overall value of Liverpool grow. Everything about Liverpool has been a success for the last 5-6 years, albeit with a couple of missteps in seasons, but bookended largely normally by winning silverware and all that kind of stuff. It's been a great ride. But our model was built on selling players for good money and then reinvesting that in the squad and then carrying on. And having a huge wage spend, having a top of the league, top 2 or 3 biggest wage spends in the league. That's how Liverpool have achieved that. The selling players on has gone. That we've lost out in that big time because the market fell out of low-end Premier League clubs, high-end Championship clubs. All of a sudden didn't have 15 to 25 million to spend on your Jordan Ives and your Rhian Brewsters all of a sudden, which is where we had so much value in that market. Which is actually one of the reasons why we were able to sustain without selling a big player, because we got such great value in selling fringe players. But the problem is, that's fine, and you can understand that to a point, but that's how Liverpool weren't able to compete, because the money all of a sudden wasn't there for the self-sustaining model. That means that you've got to go and secure some owner funding. You've got to go above and beyond. You've got to have a season where you have a negative net spend, and then worry about it a year later or 2 years later. Fix it later down the line if needs be. Go big to rebolster, because we need to fill the squad out with 19 to 23-year-old players. We've got 2 or 3 years of development, and then what happens is one becomes a breakout and you sell him for 100-something million, and then you start the process again. And this is the summer where Liverpool needed to do that, and they started brilliantly. McAllister and Szoboszlai, brilliant signings for that kind of thing, because you could have 4 or 5 years of them, have a new 5-year plan, get brilliant years out of them, and then they're still going to have great resale value, probably at a higher level of what you paid for them. But right now, that's it. There needs to be more. Liverpool needed to go and do 5 this summer just to have players that you can use and then hopefully either sell or become stars in their own right for the team down the line. So yeah, at the moment, FSG's model, I think there's concerns that it won't continue to work, and I can understand the fears that it won't, but I don't think it's been proven that it can't yet. But I think if Liverpool can't get back in, it's not maybe still conclusive, but that's pretty damning if they're not able to compete in the transfer market, and that leaves us short. And make no mistake about it, Liverpool are woefully short. They need a defender, they need at least a defender and at least the midfielder, at least. And I was just one more footballer on top of that, at least. But yeah, so yeah, I do agree. I think some of the stuff Gary Neville says on the FSG is wrong, because I think he's comparing them to the Glazers. But I think what the Glazers inherited the best football team in the country and the biggest football club in the country. And since then, have let the training ground and the stadium run to rack and ruin, to the point where new United owners are going to have to basically flatten Old Trafford and start again. They're going to have to build entirely new training facilities. They're going to have to do still some revamping, behind the scenes, top to bottom of the footy team, and still invest in the squad, etc., etc. Whereas at least FSG, if they were to walk out the club, I don't think anyone could really argue that it'll be left in a better state than when they joined, just because of the whole overall health of the club and the size of the fan base and the financial revenues and sponsorship and all that kind of stuff. And the trophy cabinet is a lot more full than it was when they joined anyway. But yeah, Hitch and Baz, thank you so much, Baz. I'd be happy with Caicedo over Lavia, but do you think we could do both? Maybe that's why we're looking at offloading Thiago. I think again, maybe that's why they want to offload Thiago. I think we'd still be short. I think we'd be even shorter if that was the case. I think he's got a really good squad role to play for us this year. But I love being proved wrong. I genuinely do. I don't have many opinions that I'm steadfastly held on to. Not many hills that I'll die on forever and ever. But I can't see how we're going to get both here. I really can't. I'd love us to. I really would. I think we need to. Again, as I say, if you told me Caicedo and Andre in January, I might be able to make peace with that, but I'm not sure. Josh Owen asks, when does the 888 stuff go out? I'm not sure. It's my first appearance on there. I think maybe today. I'll get a message at some point and it'll tell me that it's a thing. Right. Let me just see what else we've got in terms of comments. Right, sound. Cyber Rust is just who was one of our new YouTube members from the start of the stream. My nickname is Rusty, funky spelling for Rust. Got ya. On Twitch, I changed my name to Cyber Sosig because everyone thought it was worst. Okay, cool. Thank you so much for clearing that up, mate. The wonderful world of writing and how it can be misconstrued in a bunch of different ways. Skip to my Lou, a little bit of positivity, I think, here, saying even with our squad being what it is, I still think we should be able to give it to Chelsea, who also don't have a midfielder and Kunku up the Reds. Yeah, and look, one of my overall take on where Liverpool are at, and all of this will depend on how they perform on the pitch, is I think if we're comparing this Liverpool squad to 18, 19, 19, 20 Liverpool, it's not that squad. It's not good enough because that was a perfect team that was a combination of a building process to build up a squad. So it was all positive forward momentum. So you had understanding. It was, there was a freshness to what Liverpool were doing. Liverpool perfecting Klopp's tactics at that point. And again, we had the attack right really early on. We had the midfield engine, and then we fixed the defence by buying DM, centre half, goalie, best in class in all of those as the finishing touches to a complete side that had already gone. An incomplete side had gotten to top four and then got into a Champions League final. I think this team could potentially be comparable to our 17-18 team. Definitely, I think it's probably at least as good, if not better, than 16-17. And I think just because of how good the attack is and the fact that although they're a little bit older, someone like Van Dijk, I still feel like there's enough general quality there. I don't think we're good enough to compete with Man City. And that's the problem, is that we've got an opportunity. I think someone like Caicedo might actually make us a title challenging side. And I don't see the point in not being one. By the way, if you can spend that money and make yourself that, well, then that, for me, makes it obvious. Just go and do it. But I do feel like City have obviously strengthened, but at the same time, I'd say some of the negatives around Chelsea, but it feels like a pointless waste of time because they'll just be class. They will. We've tried it for years. This might be the season they come undone. Hearing Rodri talk about saying how he can't play 60 games a season again, and how he was overworked and how he was tired and he pushed his body too far was really encouraging because I think that's a lot of what did Liverpool in last year. And they've lost goals from their side as well, which is one of their key assets. They've been weak defensively or suspect defensively, able to be gone at. There's a reason why Southamptons and Norwich's and all kinds of random teams have been able to cause City problems over the years. But they feel like they've got a really solid defence now and they've got enough goals that they should be able to muddle through for another year, or they'll just go and buy someone really good and replace those goals and then they'll be fine. I think Arsenal's business looks really rounded, so they look really well set. They look like a complete squad, but they might still lack a little bit of top-level experience. And Declan Rice is a brilliant footballer, but I'm not sure he's a total transformer for them. But he might prove to be. But then of everyone else, I think we've got the ability to blow Newcastle, United, possibly Chelsea, depending on what Poch gets out of all the players that he's got. And the other sort of contenders, I think we're probably best placed. Time will tell, won't it? Deb's Disney Desk, hello. Hi, Paul. Hope you had a good day off with your lovely family. Looks like the transfer business last 3 weeks with our club is madness. I have to laugh. If not, I will cry. That's it. And, and again, that's my thing on this, by the way, is that maybe I get accused of not taking it too seriously enough sometimes. But I also would contend that Jurgen Klopp, Jörg Schmadtke, Will Spearman, Dave Fallows all probably get paid more in a year individually than I'll probably get paid in 10 to 20 years of my life. They're all effectively on their way to being millionaires, and they're being charged with being responsible for this. So yeah, I don't worry. I don't stress too much about Liverpool's tactics because we've got Jurgen Klopp. I don't stress about Liverpool scoring goals because we've got Mohamed Salah. I don't stress about our goalkeeper position because we've got Alisson. I'm not sure our back of house team is what it was. I don't know enough about Schmadtke to know if he's good enough for his job or not. I fear that he's not. But yeah, it does worry me because I want Liverpool to be good, and I can't be arsed living in a world where we're not one of the best teams in Europe anymore. But there's only so much anxiety and worry I can give to it when there's literally people who are getting. I'm worrying probably more than the people who are getting paid tons and tons of money, and it's their hands-on job to do it. I hope they worry just as much as me, and I hope if they worry just as me, they're doing just as much worrying as me, but being paid much better for it. Sound. Teeman, I love watching Thiago and ever the optimist think he can have a mega season helping the likes of Curtis, Stefan, et al. Grow into their full potential. I agree. I would keep Thiago around just so Bajcetic can have another year learning off him. I think that's probably worth 10 million quid to us, to be perfectly honest. Etcham says, Paul, apparently we were doing the tango with Bayern and Chelsea for Caicedo. Yeah, cool. It sounds good. C60 says, sorry to hear about your problem with the internet trolls, Paul. No need for it. Fucking keyboard warriors, Bellend. Look, I've said this before. I don't mind people disagreeing with my opinions. I don't mind with people not liking my face or voice. There's nothing I can do about that. But, it is what it is. I don't expect to be loved by anyone or anyone. But I don't like the notion that when people don't agree with my opinions, they presume my opinions must be tainted somehow. Like, instead of just going, oh, I might have his opinions. Oh, it's because he's been pocketed or perverted or there's some sort of nefarious means for it. It's not that. I really want Liverpool to win football matches. I've had the best time of my life over the last 5 years. I've been to 3 Champions League finals, a Europa League final, 6 years ago. I've been to FA Cup finals, League Cup finals. I missed out on the Club World Cup. I would love to go and do that again in the future. I want that more than most because I've had a taste and I want more, and I don't ever really get to appreciate them too much because I work so much about them around them. And when Liverpool do transfers, that's the most exciting part of the summer. I had the best time ever covering the Sobbers Live coverage, coming here on my own and making videos for it. That's the stuff that is the bigger driver. We get more money from Liverpool signing a footballer than we've ever had from an interview, a snippet of an interview with a Liverpool footballer, by the way. So yeah. That's the thing about it. Look, people are gonna troll. It's the internet. I see this happening in the industry. I've got mates who work in the wrestling industry in similar sort of like shoulder content to us. People who work in the music industry, people who work in gaming and all that, and this kind of culture, troll culture exists all over. But I don't mind a bit of back and forth banter. I don't mind it WWE style. Oh, you've got your opinion, I've got my opinion. Hey, let's go and shake hands and have a pint at the end of it. It's all gone a bit far and a bit nasty, and again, people questioning my morals and integrity, but then also mentioning me children on the internet is just it's beyond the pale, that really, isn't it? Anyway, but it is what it is. We'll move on with it all. I did have a boss day with the kids, and I've got a brand new niece as well who was born yesterday. So not only did I have my kids off, I've had a weird week where my daughter broke my telly by knocking it with a gymnastics beam thing. Yeah, so I'm down a telly in my house, which is really annoying. I took my son and my nephew to the park to play footy yesterday, which was great. And then my eighth niece/nephew was born yesterday. So yeah, big love to Sam and Sarah, by the way, first-time parents. I've seen pictures of her, which is absolutely amazing. Anyway, right, let's see. A couple of super chats here. This is a sticker. Let me see if I have to put this up because that comment doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Oh yeah, it was a super sticker from Thomas Smythe. Thank you so much for that. Saying how's it going? Oh, good, mate. Thanks, Thomas. Good for you. Right. Osbra Dave says, do we have any chance of Caicedo? Would be a giggle for Chelsea to hijack Lavia for us to get him. I'd rather 100 million Caicedo than 50 in Lavia. I agree on that. I totally agree. That would be fucking hilarious. And I know there's almost a little part of it that I've said it's either an ineptitude or there's a wider plan at play. And what I know through the grapevine is that Liverpool, I think, had harboured a sneaky ambition that Tchouaméni might become available again this summer because Real Madrid were trying to raise Mbappe funds, but Mbappe just digging his heels in and not moving, I think, has scuppered that. I think they were holding out for that. But it's as far as who's on Liverpool's radar, I'd say it was Tchouaméni, Caicedo, and I think Lavia and Andre are kind of down here. They're the options that you buy if you can't get some more ready-made that you really want now is what it feels like to me. They're the bodies that you have to secure just to make sure you've got enough footballers to actually compete this season, but not ones that really, I think, elevate you. Certainly, but they'll elevate us from not having defensive midfielders, which is the situation we've kind of fucked ourselves into, really. Yes, let's see what we got. Oh, we got a new member as well, Al Osman. Thank you. Al Osman. Thank you so much, Al. Welcome aboard. Welcome to watching me hit myself in the face with a whiteboard. Okay. My niece cannot play the six, not yet anyway. Give her some time. She is more in the category, to be perfectly honest, of like the age bracket that Liverpool seem to be shopping in at the moment. Right. So we've got a little update on the Caicedo stuff. Buying, as mentioned in the comments just there, actually, 3 clubs interested in signing Brighton midfielder Moises Caicedo. Chelsea and Liverpool, as well as Bayern Munich, are exploring a deal, according to Sky Sports News. We got another new member. Bobby, I should really stop putting this on the floor. It's not doing me back any good. Bobby Drode. Thank you, Bobby. Oh, yeah, Drode. Right. Lovely stuff. Thank you so much, Bobby. I'm going to put that there. Right, let's just quickly check what we got before we go. Let's see. But yeah, I mean, it does feel at least like there's a bit of movement happening, which is something, right? Yeah. Okay, look, I think that's all from us for here for now. Rest assured, if things happen in the coming hours, we will have you covered here on the YouTube channel and over at redmanplus.com. I just want to draw your attention to our brand new book. I've done this a few times, but it's absolutely flying out at the moment, so I'm really, really pleased with how well this has gone down. If you're a big Bobby Firmino fan, check out Bobby Firmino, Best in the World. This is the author-signed edition, which you can see. It's signed by me, Steve, and Dan, who did the lion's share of the writing, and I did the layouts and what have you, but it's filled with boss articles and photos, and it's got like a season by season guide to his career as well in terms of the story and how what the big matches and all those kind of things. It's got great artwork from great Liverpool artists as well as unique photos from the archive that you may or may not have seen, which you could cut out and bang on your wall if you were that way inclined. Look at that one, absolute pearler. Yeah, all his stats, it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. It's huge. It's a premium format book. It is the same size as all of our other previous books as well, by the way. So if you've got the other 3 that I've published, this will go right alongside it on the shelf and fit in nicely. You can scan the QR code on the screen. Yeah, and can I just say before I leave, Liverpool, if you could just do me a favour and sign some footballers, because I'm sick of getting blamed for Liverpool not signing players and trying to work out why they're not doing it, just so we've got some talking points when there's people who are at fault here. Jorg, what are you doing, Jorg? Jorg, do your job, please. Because, look, I've had it for 10 years, 13 years I've been on YouTube. Every time, particularly under FSG, every time Liverpool have a bad run of results, I get accused of being a shill for the club, when really what it is I'm just quite a genuine glass half full upbeat person. Less so when I'm being attacked from all angles on social media, of course. But yeah, I'm generally quite a positive person. I just love Liverpool. I love the good things about Liverpool, and the good things I love about Liverpool always outweigh the bad. So yeah, but yeah, look, I've had this for years and years and years. It just feels loads worse this season because we're on the back of a bad season, and now there's a lot of pressure on Liverpool to go and get it right this summer. And I agree. I think we need to have a real conversation around how Liverpool are run and structured. The window to get this right is fast shortening. But yeah, if Liverpool get the right players and win some football matches, you could see things turn around very, very quickly indeed. And Hawk, sorry, his signed copy is sitting on his desk now. Lovely work. Thank you so much for picking that up, mate. And Craigo just says, hey, I made it. Woo! Thanks, Steve. Yeah, got in just in time. Are you a new legend? Is that what it is? Cool. Right, thank you so much, everyone. Just wants to mention Missy Bocairns signed a new contract. Oh, cool. Good on it. Boss player, by the way. Yeah, we love a bit of Missy Bocairns. Dead sound as well. We were chatting to her before the Champions League final last year. Boss. Great. Thank you so much for all the support, everyone. By the way, it doesn't go unnoticed. It's just very hard, unfortunately, because I live in a world where I can't read my mentions anymore because they are filled with people who've decided to make me a target for their angst and misery and Liverpool not being great. So I do unfortunately miss the nice comments as well, which is the real sad part of the whole thing. But, mental health comes first and family comes first and all that kind of stuff. And then, it's family, red men, Liverpool, mental health in that order. Golf's nowhere near there though. So that's something. Right. Have a boss rest of your day. Do check out the pre-season review wrap-up show, which will be on redmenplus.com now. It was live. We filmed that earlier on. That's a really, really good in-depth dive, looking at the pros and cons and all the best players and the worst performers and all that kind of stuff, and doing the stock exchange elements of the ups and downs. Highly recommend that on redmenplus.com. Get your Bobby Firmino books. And yes, that is it from me for now. See you in a bit. Ta-da. Much for checking out the show today. If you need more Liverpool content in your life, whether it's podcasts, videos, interviews, or great Liverpool documentaries, head over and subscribe to redmenplus.com today. It funds everything we do across all the free platforms, and we give you amazing content each and every week.